Hello Random Scottish History patrons, and welcome to an unusual Saturday show and tell. Today we'll have a wee look at some Vellum manuscripts. I have some comparison documents as well, just to show that Vellum wasn't always the go-to material for court documents and what have you. But we'll have a wee look and see what we have to show you today. So we have a couple of manuscripts that are in vellum, and they're not as old as you might think. Vellum was used for centuries, right up until recently. My friend Harry, my old book collecting friend Harry, was very sad, might say a bit annoyed, when the Westminster government decided to stop using vellum to record their Acts of Parliament. He felt like that was somehow going against tradition, but he was a traditionalist, Harry. He liked the British order of doing things, so whenever that changed in any way, he'd get a bit sad. I think he opted to stop going to his church for a while once they accepted female ministers. So that shows you Harry's kind of way of thinking, I guess. So, vellums. Okay, so firstly we have this is a general service for John Baxter. And this is 1853, which shows you it's not so old. This feels very soft. You know, the kind of rubber you get now that's kind of skin texture, that skin soft. That's what this kind of feels like. It's like a very close cropped suede. So it's very tactile, it's lovely to hold. So it's not so old that it cracks or anything when it opens. So this is the general service for John Baxter. I've uploaded this to the site already, as you can see here. It says, like I say, general service for John Baxter for 1853. And within what we've deciphered is, at Edinburgh, the 24th day of January in the year 1853, sitting in judgment, Patrick Shaw, Esquire, Advocate Sheriff of Chancery, in the petition of John Baxter, farmer in Fald, in the county of Cumberland, and William and Thomas Pays, Stens, we're not sure about these last two names, McGowan, writers in Dumfries, his mandatories found, possibly, and hereby finds that the late James Baxter, farmer at Far on Fald, in the county of Cumberland, in England, died on or about the 2nd day of November, 1837, and that the said John Baxter is the eldest son and nearest and lawful heir in general of the said James Baxter, recorded and extracted in terms of the statute by me, Director of Chancery, this 31st day of January in the year 1853, and that's signed by Archibald McNeill, C.D. So what we have here in the list of those of the Court of Exchequer and Chancery Office, we have Patrick Shaw, presenter of signatures in the Court of Exchequer, and Archibald McNeill, Esquire, director in the Chancery Office, seem to be likely candidates for those mentioned in the above document, and that's from the British Imperial Calendar dated 1844. So this is an interesting thing to have. It's not Scottish history, but it's an example of Vellum and the writing style that you might find on these official documents. The second Vellum we have is Scottish and is a bit more of a thing. We haven't yet deciphered this one. So it's quite big. Now I've already uploaded this to varying places, mainly Twitter and Reddit, because I was wondering if anyone might be able to help decipher it, but really the pictures that we got of the vellum, they're not very clear. The writing's fairly faint, and we know that it's assassin. In Scots law, the meaning of that word is investment by registration of a deed transferring ownership of property. Now the name of Hamilton is mentioned, and Anne Hamilton, Duchess of Hamilton in fact. So it could be a deed transferring property from her, and for the date of it, I would say that it's possibly Anne the Third, Duchess of Hamilton, because it makes mention of James, and her son was James. So it's possibly the late 17th century that it's from, but again, trying to decipher this has been, well, nightmare inducing, I guess. You can see, if I bring up this, you can see that it says at Hamilton, the 8th day of October. Just mentioning Sassin again, I don't know the date for it though. So we'll show you this opened up. Already, you can see when we put it under glass in a bid to keep it flat and try and make it a wee bit easier to read. Vellum's texture is very like a thin plastic, which is why this is so wanting to retain the folded shape. So this is quite a big document. I want you to see this to get an idea of how difficult it was to scan. And we have an A3 scanner, but it's just not enough for this. So we think that this is a Sassin, or transferal of property, a deed for the transferal of property, or at least someone has decided that a record needs kept of whatever transaction this specifically details. So we will get around to attempting this one again. I would love to have library resources here, because I've seen that they have nice little ways of flattening and scanning these kind of documents. So perhaps once all of these lockdown things are done, I may be able to take it up to the Mitchell Library and have a look, maybe with one of their curators, to see if we can make any headway into what this document is. I'm afraid the pandemic struck just as we got it, really. So I haven't been able to really do anything with that particular document. But if it has to do with the Hamiltons, the House of Hamilton, and that duchy, then that might be quite interesting, because if it is Anne the third Duchess of Hamilton, then the James that's mentioned will have been the James that was responsible for Scotland not getting perhaps the best deal out of the Treaty of Union with England. So he's an interesting historical character, not one that's greatly loved in Scotland. He didn't seem to be out to do us any favours. Okay, hello, Jenny from the future here. So, that manuscript with James and Anne Hamilton, I was having a really good look, and I'm sure I'm seeing the word 23. Now, if that's 1723, then we have two options for James. We have the James that was instrumental in Scotland's negotiations with England during the Treaty of Union debates, and you have his son James. Now, in 1723, James the Younger marries Lady Anne Cochrane. Now, I'm sure it's right that when people got married, they would, just as you would do just now, you would sort out your life insurance and what have you, like just as part of the legal process of getting married and buying a home and what have you. At the time it was the same kind of deal, and this could be transferal of property from Anne to her husband James the Younger. So that is also an option. If that's 1723, that's the year they got married, and they got married on Valentine's Day in 1723. So, also a possibility. Either way, it's interesting, and we'll find out more later on, I guess. Bye. So, for comparison, just to show that it wasn't always Vellum that was chosen for these things, we have I have a couple of related documents. So this is dated 1686, okay, and it is a will and testament for John Peace of Nether Langwith in the county of Nottingham. So again, this is English. This isn't vellum. This is well, it's paper, but it's 1686 paper. It's like fabric. You find that with a lot of the disbound Acts of Parliament that you can obtain. They tend to be on this kind of fabricy feeling paper that's pretty good. So this is his will and testament, but we also have the fuller last will and testament of John Peace from Nether Langwith, Nottingham. So you see, in the name of God, amen, I, John Peace of Nether Langwith in the county of Nottingham, yeoman, being in good health in body and of perfect mind and memory. The language is exactly what you would expect at the time. The writing is wonderfully clear in this, so this can just be read. The only reason that it hasn't been transcribed for the website is just by dint of it being a non-Scottish publication, but I have a field for that, so it may end up on the site at some point, because it's just generally historically interesting. We also have, so this is from 1770, just to show again that it wasn't always vellum. So 1770, it says George, etc., or will is. So the George they're referring to here is going to be George III of Britain. This is a summons to compere, to appear in court, for certain people to appear in court, and it's dated the 14th of September 1770. Now this is in type, showing that it was a government document to be printed and probably hand delivered to those that were cited to appear. Like an indictment these days would be put in your hands, you know, your citation to appear in court. There is, I'll just see if you can see, but there is handwriting on it filling in some of the blanks. It's not really readable though. The type is great, but and you can make out that I, Francis Hamilton. So again, we're talking about the family of Hamilton. He, in the preamble, it states at answer to the instance of our right well-beloved cousin, Douglas, Duke of Hamilton, showing that, again, it's the family of Hamilton, it's the Dukes of Hamilton, the Duchy of Hamilton, that this is in relation to. So that's 1770, and again, it's this kind of fabric-y kind of paper. But I mean, it feels excellent. But it's quite dirty. The light maybe hides it a wee bit, but this is quite a dirty example. But also being Scottish, I would likely scan this in and type it up at some point for the site. So the vellums are a good project. We have mostly worked out this one. This one is deciphered. This one will be at some point, but again, I may have to enlist the help of someone at the Mitchell Library. It would probably be one of the bigger libraries would be able to help me. So if someone at the Mitchell can't, then I would maybe take it over to the Cotton or Advocates Library in Edinburgh to see if maybe they can help out, which they might want to if it's to do with the Hamiltons. We never know what it might contain. It could have some very interesting information. We'll find out, I'm sure. So that's today's show and tell. If I see you next week, I see you next week. I don't know what I might show you, but I will certainly give it some thought. Alright? So take it easy, and we'll see you again. What are you doing? Stop. I don't know what Fargo's doing. Eh? Eh? Come here. You want to see the peoples? Look. Look. Eh? Little ZaraKat. Yeah, she says ZaraKat. Eh?